Hello friends, Shayla here, and I'm here to film my mid-month wrap-up for you. This is coming a couple days late. Today is June 17th, so I'm going to include everything I've read up to the 17th. Just because I've read quite a bit, but a lot of it can be wrapped up in shorter stints, so I'm going to go ahead and include everything at this point. Thank you guys for checking out this video. It's going to be a long one, so let's just go ahead and dig right in. So right now, I'm going to start with the digital books that I read this month. Then we'll move into physical books. Then we'll go into digital manga and then physical manga. So that's how we're going to kind of do this wrap up. So let's just go. All right, so the first digital read this month I read during Smut-a-thon, and that was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Sadly, this was a DNF at 50% for me. Personally, I just couldn't handle all of the excessive lying in this one. I still love Christina Lauren. I will pick up more Christina Lauren books in the future. This particular book just didn't sit very well with me. In the beginning, there was a lot of fat rep kind of issues that didn't sit well with me either. That kind of tapered off at about 15 to 20%, and it just kind of got into the story after that. But there was really excessive lying that was really unnecessary, even for the plot. And it just got to be too much for me. So I had to give this one a DNF at 50%. I know a lot of people love this, and what I'm feeling is very unpopular. So do feel free to go ahead and check this one out. This is a hate to love romance where a bridal party, except for two people, end up sick from whatever they got at the cheap buffet that the bride ordered, including the bride and groom. So the bride's sister and the groom's brother were the two that missed out on everything, and they end up going on their honeymoon for them. So they have to lie to the people at the hotel, but then they randomly run into people that they actually know and have to continue the lie and blah, blah, blah. So it's fake dating, hate to love. It's a lot of tropes I really like. This particular one just wasn't a hit for me, and I'm really sad about it. I really wanted it to be. So know that going in, and please go ahead and check it out anyway, because I know my opinion is unpopular on this one. The next digital read that I have is A Story Like Ours by Robin Huber. Again, I read this during Smut-a-thon. This is the continuation from A Love Like Ours that I read in May, and this is the conclusion to a duology. There is a pregnancy trope in this one, so do be prepared for that, and it does play a heavy part in this particular side of the plot. But I do have to say, I like how the duology wrapped up. I was really pleased with continuing on with these two because I felt like the ending of the previous one was a little bit rushed, so I'm glad we got a truer ending for them, and I felt really good about how the author chose to end it. So I do recommend picking up this duology, and I gave them both 4 stars. So that is it for the digital books that I've read this month. Let's go ahead and dig into the physical books. So I'm actually going to share the one I'm currently reading because I'm almost done with it. I will be finishing it after I film this video or early tomorrow morning, and that is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. Now this, don't let this cutesy cover fool you, because this is a dirty, dirty book. There is lots of dirty talk in this one, and it's very, very smutty, much more than I was expecting it to be, and it's great. I highly recommend it. So this is about a washed-up baseball player who comes home to his hometown feeling like he's a failure and that his father, who was down on him his entire life, was right. What happens is the best friend's little sister comes and dumps melted ice cream and chow mein on him because he's like waking up in a drunken stupor, and she basically calls him on his crap. She's like, okay, you've wallowed for a month. Get over this. Let's move on with life. You've accomplished a lot of things that no one else would have accomplished. Your career may not have ended on a high note, but you had a career at all. Let me help you move forward, essentially. And so they form a friendship that ends up in fake dating, and there's feelings and smut, and I'm happy. So this is going to land somewhere between 4 and 5 stars. I can tell you right now, it'll depend on how the author chooses to end it. From what all my friends have said, this is leaning more towards 5, and I really enjoy it. Highly recommend. I finally picked this up and read this because of the group of BookTube gals who finally gave it a read, and I highly recommend. This is compulsorily readable. I hate that I didn't get a chance to finish it today, but today was just too busy, and so I couldn't. So anyhow, definitely check out Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This was published by Avon Books. I really like Avon Books titles, just an FYI. Cheers at like 10 at night. Next we have The Weight of Our Sky by Hannah Alcuff. This was a really interesting read where I learned a lot more about the riots that happened in Malaysia in the 60s. This is late middle grade, early YA in its reading, and the story, I wish it could have been a little bit more fleshed out, but all in all, it was good. I think it's great for the audience it was written for, and I'm giving it a solid 4 stars. Like I say, this was very informative for me, being ignorant about the riots in Malaysia, and I ended up really enjoying it. So I do highly recommend it. The writing style was really nice, but it was a tad rushed and suffered from a couple little pacing issues. But outside of that, I think it's great. I will pick up more from Anna Alkaf in the future. Next we have Cowboy Rebel by Carolyn Brown. I'm not doing these in any order, by the way. This was another Smut-a-thon read, and this is the 4th book in the Longhorn Canyon series. I talk about a lot about this in my Smut-a-thon vlog, but we're following 2 characters that we've already met in the series, getting together, and it's absolutely fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. 4 stars. Super solid. I love this Longhorn Canyon series. Now, when it comes to the smut in these ones, it's on the lighter side, like it's not as much, it's a little more fade to black. So if you're looking for super smut, this isn't going to be your jam, but it was thoroughly enjoyable, and I give it a solid 4. Solid 4, definitely good. Now we have Legendary Wolf and Legendary Beast, both by Barbara J. Hancock. These are 2 paranormal smutty romances from Harlequin that came in this bind up that I got in my Bubbles and Books box, and I really enjoyed them. I gave them 3 and 3.5 stars relatively. They weren't perfect, they're full of tropes, but man, they were really a lot of fun. I do want to pick out more from this Harlequin Nocturne imprint, because that seems to be where their paranormals are hiding, and so I want to try more, and I do want to try more by Barbara J. Hancock. It seems like there's also more in this particular series, so I do want to give these a try. So if you like paranormal and you like smut, definitely give it a try. Next we have probably my favorite read from Smut-a-thon. Yeah, I think it's my favorite if I think about it, and that's Hurts to Want You by Alicia Rai. This is the 3rd book in the Forbidden Hearts trilogy. I accidentally skipped the 2nd one. I will be going back to read it, but man, the angst is like cranked up to 10 from like page 2 on, and I will never think about apples the same after this book. Thank you, Alicia Rai. And this was fantastic. It was written so well. Again, these are established characters in the series, and it was that all of this goes down leading up to the wedding of the first couple in the series, and it was just fantastic. Like, oh my gosh, I have no words. Like, it's just so good. My enjoyment level was sky high. The writing's good. The smut is good. Highly recommend to go read Forbidden Hearts. Next, we have a book that I read during Smut-a-thon, but it wasn't actually smutty. So that is The Amish Widow's Rescue by Rachel J. Good. This is my first book by Rachel J. Good. This came to me from Forever Romance for review, and it's a solid 4 stars. I ended up really enjoying the romantic story that this is, but because of the religious elements of the Amish religion, it's not really smutty. So I was a little sad about that. I mean, I went in expecting it to not be smutty, and I was right about that. So I wish I would have not read it during Smut-a-thon because of that, because I just wanted it to be smutty. I read this after reading Hurts to Love You, so I just felt a little sad at the end. But I don't blame the book for that, so definitely a solid 4 stars. It's well written. Definitely check out Rachel Good's writing. Next, we have my second favorite read from Smut-a-thon, which surprised the crap out of me. That is For His Pleasure by Shelley Bell. This... Mom and Dad, turn off this video if you're watching. This is a BDSM smutty romance where we're dealing with a female parole officer and her parolee. And it's my first foray into true, like, BDSM. There's bondage, there's yes. And I had mixed feelings. You could check out the vlog if you want to see my initial reaction to it. But man, there are several particular scenes in this book that have not left my mind, and I read it like a week and a half ago. And yeah, it's good. I can't say anything, but it's good. It surprised me. It opened up a dialogue between me and my own husband. That's all I'm gonna say. Go check it out, okay? Okay. Next was my third favorite read from Smut-a-thon, and that is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. Now, I gave this a solid 4.5 stars. I liked this more than most people on BookTube. And I have personal reasons as to why. I'm going to share them briefly here with you because I haven't had a chance to make the video that I was going to do dedicated to this. I may still make it in future, but for right now I have other videos that are inspiring me more, so this one keeps getting put back on the back burner. I have a beautiful sister-in-law named Kimmy who has immigrated from Brazil. So she had a son. He's my nephew now, and he's turning 17 this summer. And so there are many parts of Esme's story that I could put Kimmy in her shoes and understand better the decisions that Esme was making that have made some people uncomfortable. Now, I also want to remind people that we don't see Esme every second of the day. So a lot of people said, well, she didn't seem that focused on her kid. Well, one, she left her with her parents, so she knew she was safe. And second, we didn't see her every second of the day. We don't know she wasn't doing video calls every day. Would I have liked to have seen more of that in the book? Of course. But I'm not saying that she wasn't in touch with her kid, because I fully believe with my whole heart that she was. I knocked it the 0.5 stars because there's a moment where Esme can tell Kai about her daughter and she doesn't. And that just tasted a little bad in my mouth. But outside of that, I understand all of the decisions that Esme made. She also made a decision to not rely on Kai to stay in the States. And so she found a way to stay herself. And that made my heart soar. So definitely check this one out. I highly recommend it. Helen Huang, as always, her autism spectrum rep is fantastic. I think it was really well done and really well written. And again, I like this more than most people did, so just know that there's personal reasons as to why this is so precious and so important to me. So please check out The Bride Test. Next we have A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro. I've slowly been working through his backlog, and this is the 4th book I've read by Ishiguro. And this is probably my second favorite. So this is the one I've liked most next to The Remains of the Day. That's still my favorite to date. But I thought this one was really well written. It does a ghost thing. It's not my favorite trope that he played with. But what he did well. So I have to give him credit for that. But the writing throughout was beautiful. As always, he has a magical realism style of writing, if you will, a little more flowery than normal, but his isn't overly flowery, like it's still accessible to read. So I highly recommend checking out his works. The Remains of the Day is my favorite, but this one is a close second. And again, that is A Pale View of Hills. This is kind of harder to see and read because it's such a white cover. And then last but not least, for the book portion of this video, we have If I'm Being Honest by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. And I know these, if I remember right, these two are a couple. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember for sure. But this is essentially a modern contemporary Taming of the Shrew reimagining with teens in LA. So I got pretty much what I wanted out of this. I did want a little bit more. The whole LA Valley Girl vibe is not necessarily my favorite, but I understand why it was chosen in this context. And I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I think it's solid. I think it's fun. And it has some really great one-liners. The guy in this was just a gem. I really liked him. And I liked that it was the sibling dynamic in this was really nice because it was a brother-sister dynamic instead of a sister-sister dynamic. And I really, really liked it. So definitely check out If I'm Being Honest because I thought it was fun. Alright, that is it for the book portion of this video, so let's go ahead and dig into the manga portion of this video. Loading, 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 loading. Shall we cheers again? Cheers. I read another 2 volumes in Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight. So I read volumes 2 and 3. I continue to really enjoy this series. I do plan on continuing to read more in this series. This is essentially about a high school girl, and there's a slightly older than high school, early 20s actor that shows up at the school to film. She's kind of on set, and there's an incident where her skirt gets blown up, and the actor guy sees it all, and he kind of has a panty shot fetish is the easiest way to describe this. And so he starts to pursue our main girl, and she thinks he's the fairy tale prince that she's always wanted, but he's kind of a pervert. And so she's like, is this what I really signed up for? And their adventures and shenanigans are just a lot of fun. I really enjoy the series for that. Digitally, I also have the first 7 volumes of Care First Love. I'm buddy reading this with Bizarre over at Bizarre Individual. Each of them have gotten a solid 4 stars so far. This is about a geeky high school girl and a quiet high school guy, but he's good looking, so he's fairly popular, not super popular. He goes to an all-boys girl school. She goes to an all-girls school. She's always reading. She's always looking at these photography books on the train, and he notices, and so he approaches her and starts talking to her, and she begins to blossom as she gets this friendship with him. They start a romantic relationship, all that kind of good shoujo stuff. So again, the series is super fun. I highly recommend checking it out if it sounds at all interesting to you. And we're just getting to the slightly smutty bits. So we've got 3 volumes left. I'm really excited to see how the author decides to finish up the series. It could go a couple different ways, and I'm interested to see what they choose. Now we are on to the physical volumes of manga that I have read since we last chatted. I read the entirety of Blackbird, which is a manga series that is very paranormal, following the Tengu men and the Seika Maiden. Let me open this box here. So I read all 18 volumes. I've vlogged and documented the entire thing. I will leave the vlog linked for you, so definitely check this one out. And I've got these 3, plus another one that I read in May in a mashed up collective manga review, so you can check that out for more details. So we have Classmates, Volume 1, Dokyusei by Asumiko Nakamura. And then we've got Kami Can't Communicate Volume 1 by Tomohito Oda. And then we've got I Married My Best Friend to Shut My Parents Up by Kodama Naoko. And all of these were great. I thoroughly enjoyed all 3. The ones that I can continue on in, I will. And these were all super sweet. Again, check out that video if you want more details. Next we have The Heroic Legend of Arslan, Volume 1. Story by Yoshiki Tanaka and manga by Hiromu Arakawa, who does Full Metal Alchemist and some other great ones. Full Metal Alchemist and Silver Spoon. So she does the art for this, so I really wanted to check it out. And so far, I've read this volume already, and I really enjoyed it. I thought, I do miss Arakawa's storytelling a little bit in this one, but I do think it's good, so I am going to continue to try it out and enjoy it. Next I have Volume 1 and 2 of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. This is about a high school boy who writes shoujo manga and the girl who has a crush on him. And it's a 4-panel comedy style story. It's really fun. I really think it's great. I've loved the anime for a long time, and since these are Yen Press titles and currently on sale at Barnes & Noble, I decided to pick up the first couple. I've read through them. The comedy comes through strong. I do want to continue to collect this one. Next we have one that I've been meaning to make a video on, and I hope I do it soon, and that is the final volume of Sweetness and Lightning by Guido Amakaguri. I think that's how you say their name. I'm not 100% sure. But this is the final volume of the story. So we've got Kohei here, who is a widower, and he's raising his daughter Samugi. He's befriended his student whose mom owns a restaurant because he needs to learn how to cook so that Samugi will eat. At the beginning of this series, Samugi's only 3 or 4, and you see Samugi grow, and the ending of this warmed my heart. It made me so happy. I cried multiple times through this volume. And it's a bit bigger than the rest because it has all the little after stories in it. So we got the full picture with this volume. I loved it with my whole heart and soul. I love this series. If you guys want a full series review, let me know in the comments down below. Next we have Takane and Hana Volume 9. And the plot thickens in this particular one, because we've been put in a situation where Takane and Hana are actually living in the same house now. It's complicating things, but it's kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of a situation. And it'll be interesting to see how things play out from here. Again, everything is still pretty innocent at this point, I'm not mad about anything that's going on in this manga because there is the legal age gap kind of situation. And yes, I still love it. I'm still going to continue to collect it. Definitely check it out if you like age gap romances and can deal with the little bit of legal stuff going on. Next we have After the Rain Volume 4, which I love and adored. I've recently become very attached to this series, and I only have one more volume left, and I believe it's complete from what I understand. And I'm interested to see how the author decides to end this. So we're dealing with 17-year-old Akira, who is trying to pursue her 45-year-old divorced with a child boss. And he's kind of an idiot. He's not exactly reciprocating her feelings, but he's also not completely turning her feelings away. But he's drawn a line that they're not going to cross, and that has not been crossed in, you know, these 4 2-in-1 volumes. So far so good, and I'm interested to see what they do. But the art style in this is stunning. Totally have a girl crush. That's all I'm going to say. I know it's getting long, guys. 2 more volumes of manga and then we'll be done. So I've got Eden Zero Volume 3. I continue to really enjoy Hiro Mashima's follow-up to Fairy Tail. And I enjoy these characters better, if I'm honest. And I didn't think I would feel that because there are certain Fairy Tail characters that I am severely attached to. But I am really enjoying these characters. I find the plot in this one much more interesting. And it's space. Space and vloggers and all sorts of fun. And I'm all over it. Again, this is it's kind of a battle shonen style story, so I'm not going to shy away from that, but this is one that I'm really thoroughly enjoying. So I would give it a read if it sounds at all interesting to you, because I'm liking it. And last but not least is Ao Haru Ride Volume 5. This particular volume started to bring out some of the heavy shoujo high school romance tropes, like jealousy and miscommunication. So we've kind of got that going on, so be prepared. But I'm still invested in these characters, and I am really excited to see where Volume 6 takes us. That is everything that I have read so far in the month of June. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite read of the month is so far, and I will see you guys next time.